Dave here with Limitless Brave. Today I want to talk about something that is robbing you of your masculinity. And that thing is shame. See, shame is very insidious, and a lot of men carry it around, but don't even realize what it is or how to identify it. And the ones that do feel the shame and understand it, well, they're sure as hell not talking about it, and they're not doing anything about it. And when you repress or you don't know that shame is attached to you and that you're dealing with it, well, that erodes the experience of your masculine. And that energetic signature of a very masculine man starts to degrade. Women treat you different, the boss treats you different, your friends can treat you different, society as a whole will treat you differently. So let's take a look at the different types of shame first, and then we'll get into how it forms and what you can do about it. So let's talk about the different types of shame. And the first one is the shame of masculinity. The shame that you're not financially well off enough, that you're not man enough, that you're not strong enough, that you're not dominant enough. And then we throw in any type of vulnerability, emotional vulnerability. There's the shame from the perspective of being seen as weak or not good enough, soft, unmanly, which leads us into emotional shame. A boy starts being shamed at a very young age. He's told not to cry, to walk it off, to toughen up, to be assertive, to be dominant. And anything less is weakness. And if he emotes, if he shares any feelings, he's told to be a man, toughen up. Men don't cry. Men don't whine. Now, the whining part, I agree with that. You shouldn't be whining. But what happens when boys have been told to repress this their entire life? That shame that builds because he doesn't know what he's doing with his emotions, that shame turns into anger. And then he expresses all of his shame through anger because that's a much more accepted form of emoting. Crying's not accepted. Sharing emotions is not accepted. Talking about how you feel is not accepted. But anger, that's accepted from men. That's macho, it's tough. Or at least that's what we're taught. Then there's body shame. Now, women deal with this a lot, but men also deal with it. They just don't talk about it. Men worry about not being big enough, being too fat, not having a big enough chest, big enough arms, big enough dick, whatever it may be, not being good enough in bed, not looking good enough in bed. This is all body shame that goes along with men. And it's not a topic that you hear much about because men just repress it. But guys, if you're feeling this way, that's a psychological issue called body dysmorphia. And what that is a distorted view of the way you actually look. It is a psychological issue. And if you deal with it, you should definitely get some help because it can expand into other areas of your life, like not feeling good enough to make money, to get the woman you deserve, to have the lifestyle you deserve, all from body shame. And then we have financial and career-based shame. Men who know that they're supposed to be the provider, especially if you're raising a family, if you have a stay-at-home wife. You are responsible for that financial obligation. You're the breadwinner. But a lot of men compare themselves to other men and feel like they don't earn enough, they feel like they don't live in the best house, feel like they don't have the best car, go on the best vacations, when they're actually living well above standard. So be aware if you're shaming yourself for not having the next biggest, best thing. But the reality of you getting that thing based on your capacity to earn may not actually be a truth. You may be capped out at where you are, and that's okay. Be proud of that. And if you can make it to that next level, go for it. We also have relationship shame. Shame from being abandoned from your own family or abused, I work with a lot of guys that have been through that. Not being the best father you could possibly be, not being the best husband that you possibly could be. Maybe your wife is emasculating you, and that shame builds and builds and builds. Also, don't project shame where shame shouldn't be when it comes to relationships. Some guys carry the burden of shame from rejection, ended relationships, ended marriages. That doesn't necessarily mean that much about you guys unless you were the culprit of those relationships ending. And if you were, well, it's in the past. Time to move on and not make the same mistakes, guys. Now, this one may shock you, but sexual shame is very, very deep and very, very common amongst men. Now, women deal with that, and sometimes women are shocked to hear that about men because we're supposed to be the ones out always doing the deed. That's the only thing that we think about. That's the only thing on our brain, right? We've got two brains. That's what you hear all the time. But so many men repress their sexual wants, needs, and desires. It's such a big problem that I have a workshop dedicated to dealing with sexual shame. It's called Sexual Expression. Guys get to come in and we work through all of the expression that they need to have a healthy and very good sex life. So if you're a guy that is shut down from sex, that's watching too much porn because he's ashamed to ask for what he wants, come take a workshop with me. It's eye-opening. And of course, we have the models in here for you to express your wants, needs, and desires to, so that you're practicing with a real woman, and it's not just a bunch of theory and therapeutic bullshit. You actually get that shame out of your body. We release it, we let it go, and you start having a much better sex life. But sexual shame is huge for men. And I'm happy to have created this workshop and help guys through this really difficult time, because we do have the stigma of being the ones that sex is on the brain all the time. We want to be dominant. We want to do all of these different things, and we want sex constantly. But that's not the truth for a lot of men. And then we have moral and ethical shame. And this comes from our past. It comes from things we might not be proud of, things that we've done in the past that we shouldn't have, mistakes we made, lies we told, cheating, whatever it may be. But we never really do any deep work to release that trauma, to release the past, to let go of it. And if you come in and work with me, we can do all that. And then we also have the religious component of this type of shame, where religion has shamed you so much for even existing. I'm not going to get into naming religions here, but I think we all know what are some of the most guilt-ridden religions out there. A lot of those guys come in and work with me to let go of that past programming from the religion, making them feel shameful and bad for wanting things, to explore things, to express things. And then we'll wrap it up with social shame. Social shame is when men are afraid to really be themselves around other men, other friends, they're afraid of ridicule, they're afraid of a good ribbing, a joke. And men have a hierarchy, so we're really vicious to other men to establish dominance in the pack. And that's all about protecting ourselves, seeing what you're made of. We need to know that you're tough enough. But a lot of men can't handle that and start building shame around the ridicule, the jokes, the hazing, because they don't feel that they're good enough, when that's part of a natural male ritual when we're welcoming you into the club, so to speak. But yeah, a lot of men have that social shame because of the ridicule and the hazing process that a lot of men put other men through. So what is shame actually? Oh, it's not guilt. It's actually feeling like you're the problem for everything, that you're not good enough, that you're not meeting the masculinity expectations out there, and that makes you feel less than, worthless, undesirable. So where is shame formed? Well, for most of us, it's formed in childhood, traumatic childhood, emotionally erratic childhood. It could be through bullying, hazing, these types of activities as we get into our teenage years. So where does shame come from? Well, it comes from childhood mostly. Traumatic childhood, abusive childhood, emotionally erratic childhood, being raised without a father. It comes from social media, media in general, family, religion. All of these are inputs that can shame us, whether it's consciously registered or subconsciously registered. Usually a lot of shame that men carry around that they're unaware of has slipped into the subconscious mind through some type of media, religion, family ideals, values, etc. So how does shame show up for us as men? It shows up as aggression, anger, addiction, overworking, refusal to receive help and try to take care of ourselves. And then we have isolation as well. Men isolate themselves. They are renunciates from the world. They don't interface with the world unless they really have to. Because anytime they interface with the world, they can be triggered and feel that shame over and over and over again. So the less we trigger that shame, the better. And how do we do that? Well, we don't interface. We don't participate in the world. We hide away. So if we're hidden away, that shame can't be triggered and we can't feel bad about ourselves. So how do we get rid of shame? How do we process this stuff out of our nervous system, out of our mind? Well, you work with a therapist, you come and work with me, you participate socially, you hang out with other men, you open your mouth, you express, you face the fear of judgment. And that's how you start getting rid of the shame that's stored in your body, that's stored in your mind. And if you come work with me, I've been working with men for 16 years on this type of stuff. Sexual shame, religious shame, family shame, abuse shame, any type of shame you can think of. It's been here in the workshops. And I help guys through that with trauma release therapy, reframing their mindset, exposing their nervous system to potential shame and slowly getting it to accept and calm down with different models that I bring in to work with the guys. And a myriad of other processes, grounding, understanding shame triggers, things like that. One of the great things about coming to a workshop is interacting with other men who have very similar problems. See, a lot of men make the mistake thinking that they're the only one with their problem. I promise you guys, that's not true. Every single workshop I've run for the past 16 years, guys will come in and literally say, I think I'm the only one with this problem. And then 4 other guys in the workshop say, oh, I've been through the exact same thing. I feel the exact same way. So just when you hear that your peers, that somebody else feels the same way that you do, wow, that gives you hope. That allows you to say, oh, okay, there are other people like me. There's other people dealing with this stuff. And I promise you guys, you're not the only one. Your case is not isolated. I've heard the worst of the worst when it comes to abuse, emotional traumas, all kinds of things, sexual abuses, religious abuses, whatever it may be. And I've been able to help guys through all of that to get them on the road that they want to live on, having a much more rich life, a much more masculine life, and just much happier. At the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. Happiness, peace. All right, guys, hope to see you in the next workshop. If you're looking for an online community to hang out in, check out the description below, the Limitless Brave private reserve community. It's free to join. Just click the link, set up an account, and you can pop in there and hang out with everybody. There's over 130 some guys in there. There's about 90 video testimonials from clients that I've worked with, and a lot of different resources. So pop in there and check it out.